نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In continuation of our Quranic understanding program, today we shall try to learn few more verses from chapter number 4, that is Al-Nisa, starting from verse number 105. 105 was A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Inna anzalna ilaykal kitab. Surely we have sent down this book on you, O Messenger, peace be upon him, bil haq, with truth. Litahkuma bainana, so that you judge between people. Bima arakallah, by what Allah has shown you. Wala takul lil kainina khasima. And be not a pleader or advocate of the deceitful. Wastaghfirullah, and seek forgiveness from Allah. Inna Allah kana ghafura. Surely Allah is all forgiving. Rahima, the most merciful. Wala tujadil. O Messenger, don't argue. Anil ladina, on behalf of those yaktanun anfusahum, who deceive their own selves. Inna Allah la yuhib. Surely Allah doesn't love, or Allah doesn't like man kana kawanan athima, who are the defrauders, and habitually sinful, who are Allah doesn't like them. Yastakfuna minan nas, they conceal from others, people. Wala yastakfuna min Allah, but they cannot conceal anything from Allah. Wa huwa ma'hum, because He is with them. Is yubayyituna, when they plot or plan during nights, ma la yarda min al-qawl, about what Allah doesn't approve. Wa kana Allahu bima ya'maluna muhita, and Allah is encompassing of whatever they do. Ha antum, O believers, it is you people, haulai jadaltum anhum, who argue on behalf of them fil hayat dunya, in this worldly life. Faman yujadilullahu anhum yawm al-qiyamah, who is going to argue for them on the day of judgment before Allah? Amman yakun alayhi wakila, or who can be their representatives in the court of God? Waman yamal su'a, whoever commits a bad deed, evil deed, aw yazlim nafsa, or wrongs his own self, summa yastaghfirullah, then seeks forgiveness from Allah, yajidillah, he will find Allah, ghafura, or forgiving, rahima, the most merciful. Waman yaksib ithma, and whoever earns a sin, فَإِنَّمَا يَكْسِبُهُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ, he earns it against his own self. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ أَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا, and Allah is all-knowing and all-wise. وَمَنْ يَكْسِبْ خَطِيئَةً, and who earns a sin, commits a sinful action, or a bad deed, أَوْ إِثْمًا, or commits a sin, ثُمَّ يَرْمِ بِهِ بَرِيًّا, then he blames another person. فَقَدْ احْتَمَلَ بُهْتَانًا, he has taken upon him a big slander, but إِثْمًا مُبِينًا, and a manifest and open sin. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. So these are the verses. Let's try to understand the context. That we call reference to context. Arshani Nuzul, in the circumstances in which words are revealed, that helps us in understanding the meanings better. About this verse which we are studying today, once it happened that in Medina, because this chapter was revealed in Medina, there was a Muslim, of course a so-called Muslim, who then it was proved that he was not a sincere Muslim. He was in fact a hypocrite. He stole something, a bag containing some eatables and some weapons from the house of a believer. And then when it became known that there has been a theft, the person who suffered from that theft tried to inquire who was it who had taken away his belongings. So there was some hue and cry around. But the person who had stolen, he first tried to hide himself. He tried to blame another believer and started whispering campaign with the help of his family members or people of his own tribe. They tried to blame others that when they couldn't prove that, then what he did, he blamed a Jew, a local resident Jew. And he did a marvelous thing because some floor, what we call atas, floor was also stolen from his house, where theft was committed. This thief, a hypocrite, spread this floor from the house of where theft had actually happened up to the house of a Jew. So that to create a circumstantial evidence, yes, the Jew was the thief who had stolen it. And then he put some of the arms around that house. And when people started searching and they found some arms here and there, some pieces as an evidence. And a case was presented before the Prophet, peace be upon him. And he tried to prove that that Jew was a thief, whereas he was not. And Prophet, peace be upon him, started investigation as judge. He was prophet, he was judge also, was qazi. He had to decide case on the basis of full norms of justice as prescribed by Quran. But the person in whose house theft was made, he had some suspicion about this person. And he blamed that, I think this person has committed it. But the person, with the help of his own family members, I told you, apparently he presented himself to be a Muslim. But he was not a true Muslim. He was a hypocrite. That later it proved to be. When he was caught, he left and he fled to Makkah and joined the bandwagon of disbelievers. He joined disbelievers and didn't return back to Makkah. And that proved he was not a believer, in fact. But he tried to blame, and then, of course, a Jew he tried. And his own kith and kin tried to defend him, that he's that hypocrite who had actually stolen. It's in this context, these verses. That doesn't mean these verses are only connected with that particular specific episode, and there's no relevance. It's not. Relevance of Quran is there up to the doomsday. But context only helps us in understanding the underlying meanings. So that is it. Quran says, Inna anzalna ilayka al-kitab, O messenger, surely we have sent down this book to you, bil haq, with truth. Litahkuma bayna nas, so that you judge between the people, bima arakallah, what Allah has shown, that Allah has given you the book, and you are conveying this message, divine message, or through this book to your people around. Yes, that duty of the Prophet. It's not just conveying the message. Role of the Prophet, as I've been telling you time and again, the role of a messenger is generally misunderstood. Because the Rasul means, in English we call messenger. Messenger means a person who conveys the message. That's the only role of a messenger. But as far as the messenger, Allah's messenger, who are appointed from among the humans, for conveying divine message, the role of the messenger is not limited to just conveying the message. According to Quran, Allah appoints or chooses from among humans as messengers, as He chose Noah, Abraham, Ismail, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and David, Solomon, Zacharias, and Yahya or John, Jesus Christ, and others, and finally Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. Allah chose them. these messengers receive the message. Their first duty is to believe in the message that they receive, not just they receive and convey and throw it away. That's not. Prophet role of the messenger is to have put their full faith on the message which they receive, and not only faith, they have to follow this message, act upon it. That's the second. And number three, they have to convey this message to others. And not only that, convey the message, but explain them. Is the underlying meanings of the message. Not only that, the role of messenger doesn't end here. The role of the messenger is on the step ahead. That the messenger makes people understand how to act upon this message. That is the perfect role of a messenger. Not just messenger in a literal sense that you receive message and convey. As a postman, like God forbid, postman receives a letter and then delivers it. He's not bothered what is there and what is to be done and what are do's and don'ts. His role is limited. But the role of a messenger is not limited to that. That we see perfectly in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the perfect embodiment of the Quran says, Amana Rasul. This messenger believes himself first. Any message which comes to him, he believes in it. Not only believes it, he practices it. And then he conveys to people around and makes them understand. As Quran says, so that he judges between the people. Bimarakallah, what Allah has shown you, O Muhammad, peace be upon him. He makes them understand. And practically demonstrates, as I told you about Surah last time. When divine instruction came, Waqimus Salah, you establish prayers. The first man to establish prayers was none but Prophet himself, peace be upon him. And then he enjoined upon believers, you pray. Not only told them you pray, but told them, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. You see how I pray, you have to pray. Likewise, you have to pray. Same way in every instruction which comes from Allah to a messenger, he receives it, he believes in it, he practices, he conveys to his people, and then demonstrates practically how to act upon the message. That's the role of a messenger. Inna anzalna ilayka al-kitab. O messenger, surely we have sent down this book to you, bil haq, with truth, litahkuma bayna nas, so that you judge between the people, bima arakallah, as Allah has shown you, given you that intelligence, given you that understanding power. Prophets are given the highest level of intellectual powers to understand, to deliver, to express, to act, to make people understand. وَلَا تَكُلِّ الْخَائِنِينَ خَسِيمًا. And don't be the pleaders or advocates of deceitful people. It's in that context, the story I related just now, what happened in Medina. Because the way case was presented before the Prophet, peace be upon him, the person who was actually the thief tried to shift the blame to another person. And he tried to prove himself right, saying that I don't know who has stolen it. And his kith and kin also were his supporters. The Prophet said, don't be advocate or pleader of deceitful sinners, deceitful people. Wastaghfirullah, and seek forgiveness from Allah. Inna Allah kana ghafura. Surely Allah is all forgiving, Rahima, the most merciful. Wala tujadil anil ladina. Don't argue on behalf of those people yaktanun anfusahum, who deceive themselves. As I told you, the person, actually the thief, he tried to present his case in such a way that he tried to deceive, God forbid, even Prophet, peace be upon him, and other believers, and try to blame an innocent person, though the innocent person happened to be not the man of the community, but a man from Jewish community. But in Islam, perfect justice means, as Prophet here in this case also demonstrated that justice doesn't mean to help your own people. Justice means total justice according to the norms of divine justice. not to help any guilty, whether he belongs to you. He may be your own kith and kin. As Quran says, while even if they are your parents, if they are wrong, you have to pass judgment against them. Even if your enemy is right, your sworn enemy, you have to give verdict in his favor if he is in that specific, if he is right. That is perfect system of justice in Quran. As one more case we talked about a few days back. And here in this case too, Prophet passed judgment in favor of Jew and against so-called believer, hypocrite believer. وَلَا تُجَادِلْ Quran said, وَلَا تُجَادِلْ, don't argue. And الَّذِينَ, on behalf of those people, يَخْتَانُونَ أَنفُسَهُمْ, who deceive their own selves. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ, Allah, because Allah doesn't love, doesn't like man kana khawanan asima, who is defrauded and habitually sinful. Allah doesn't like them. يَسْتَكْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ, they try to conceal from people. Because as this person tried to conceal, and his associates, they try to conceal from people what they had done, that bad deed. But Quran says, يَسْتَكْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ, they try to conceal, they conceal from people. وَلَا يَسْتَكْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ, but they cannot conceal anything from Allah. وَهُوَ مَعَهُمْ إِذْ يُبَيِّتُونَ, because Allah is with them when they plan or plot during your nights, every spring campaign, secret planning during nights. And they did that by trying to involve an innocent person. But by their verbal talks or by the circumstantial evidence which was created by him to prove that some other person was guilty, Quran says, يَسْتَكْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ, they conceal from people. وَلَا يَسْتَكْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ, but they cannot conceal from Allah. وَهُوَ مَعَهُمْ, because He is with them, إِذْ يُبَيِّتُونَ, when they are alone. During nights, making secret planning during nights. Mala yarda min al-qawl. When they are, Allah knows the secret planning of theirs, what He doesn't approve, which goes against the norms of justice and against the instruction of Allah the Almighty. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ بِمَا يَعْمَلُونَ مُحِيطًا. Allah is ever encompassing of what they do. They can't escape His seizure. Ha antum, then this was addressed to believers, because some innocent believers also thought perhaps this Muslim brother who pretended to be a Muslim brother is right. Why they try to support him, or his kith and kin were openly for his support. But norms of justice doesn't speak like that. Ha antum haulai, oh believers, it is you people. Jadaltum anhum fil hayat dunya, who are arguing on their behalf in this worldly life. فَمَنْ يُجَادِلُ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, but who is going to argue for them on the day of judgment before the court of God, Allah? أَمَّنْ يَكُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَكِيلًا, and who is going to be their pleader or their advocate on the day of judgment? But the fact is, وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ سُوءًا, whoever commits an evil deed, أو يظلم نفسه, or wrongs his own self, ثم يستغفر الله, but if he seeks forgiveness from Allah, the door of forgiveness is always open. If he seeks forgiveness from Allah, يجد الله غفورا رحيما, he will find Allah is forgiving, the most merciful. ومن يكسب إثما, and whoever owns the sin, فإنما يكسبه على نفسه, he owns it against his own self. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا, because Allah is all-knowing and all-wise. وَمَنْ يَكْسِبْ خَطِيئَةً, and who owns or commits an evil deed as this person committed, أَوْ إِثْمًا, or commits a sinful action, ثُمَّ يَرْمِي بِهِ بَرِيئًا, then blames an innocent person who is not remotely connected to, as this hypocrite pretending Muslim tried to. وَمَنْ يَكْسِبْ خَطِيئَةً, who commits a bad deed, أَوْ إِثْمًا, or a sin, ثُمَّ يَرْمِي بِهِ بَرِيئًا, and then tries to blame an innocent person for that, فَقَدْ احْتَمَلَ بُهْتَانًا, he has taken the burden of a slander. It's not isma mubina and open sin. That means he'll be doubly punished. Doubly punished, this man. There's such a person. I commit some theft or wrong or a bad deed or immoral act. And then I blame others. I blame you, somebody amongst you. So I'm committing a double sin. Firstly, the sin I have committed, I deserve punishment. No, I cannot escape. As Quran explained just now, yastaghfiruna minan nas, they conceal from people. But wala yastaghfiruna Allah, nobody can conceal anything from Allah. He knows it. So he'll punish me for this act. But since I am putting in a blame to another person, that's a slander. That is, I'm trying to defame another person for no fault of his. That in itself is a big sin according to Quran. If you blame somebody and try to prove a point against somebody for a sinful action which he has not committed, which he has not done, that's one of the major sins, big sins. Kabira, among the Kabira sins. So that's why Quran says, وَمَنْ يَكْسِبْ خَطِيَّةً, who earns a wrong deed, evil deed, of isman, or commits a sin, ثُمَّ يَرْمِي بِهِ بَرِيًّا, then blames another innocent person. فَقَدْ احْتَمَلَ بُهْتَانًا, it is double fault. Firstly, he has taken upon his shoulders a big slander. That is, he's blaming some innocent person. For that he deserves great punishment. And number two, isma mubina, and an open sin which he has committed himself. He deserves double punishment for it. Sadaqallahu al-Azim, wa sadaqa rasuluhu an-Nabiy al-Kareem, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.